Patrick Waugh is back in the NHL as head coach of the Islanders as Corey Perry's headed for oil country. Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Off the Post. Rob Wong joined alongside by Toronto Sun Sports columnist Steve Simmons and Postmedia hockey columnist Bruce Garrioch. And guys, Lou Lamoriello, as we know, tends to work in the shadows and once again shocked the hockey world on the weekend, firing Lane Lambert as head coach and bringing in Hockey Hall of Famer Patrick Waugh, who last coached in the NHL 7 years ago with Colorado. Bruce, I'm sure there are some Senators fans that aren't too happy about Waugh getting away, but what are your thoughts on him being back as head coach this time with the Islanders?
Well, I think look, I think the National Hockey League is a better place with Patrick Waugh in it. I really do. I mean, Steve, having known him, you'd probably dealt with him a lot when he was with the Montreal Canadiens and throughout your storied career. And I look at Patrick Waugh, and one of the things that I think he has realized in his 7 years away from the National Hockey League is he's grown an appreciation for the game and what it meant to him. And he always said that if he could have handled things differently in Colorado now, he would have. I know when Pierre Dorion interviewed him for the head coaching job when he hired DJ Smith, he said he was a great interview, that he really just wanted to coach. And let's be honest, Steve, in a place like the fear general managers have had of Patrick was that he wants control. You and I know that he's not going to have that control in Long Island because Lou Lamoriello is one of the most controlling people in hockey.
Well, the matchup is fascinating. And yeah, I agree with you completely, Bruce, that the NHL with Patrick Waugh is a better place than the NHL without him. And I go back to 1986, his rookie year, winning the Stanley Cup with the Montreal Canadiens. I covered the Stanley Cup final in which he was brilliant against the Calgary Flames, and that just started, a run of some of the greatest playoff hockey performances we've ever seen. Never mind him, as a coach. But I look at this right now and I say to myself, and that's why I love Lou, to be honest. Lou jumped in. He surprised everybody. He hired Patrick Waugh. Is Patrick Waugh a better hire than maybe what the Senators will come up with? Maybe what the Leafs will come up with, maybe what the Jersey Devils will come up with, maybe what the LA Kings will come up with, or the St. Louis Blues? I would say probably yes. And so he jumped the gun. And he got a coach that maybe will get that team, which really isn't a good enough team to be in the playoffs. And if that happens, credit to Lou, credit to Patrick Waugh. But I think, Ottawa and Toronto and Jersey and a lot of these places are caught napping. Well, old man Lou Lamoriello, snuck one on them.
I thought Stan Fisher made a good point, Steve, and he said that Lou loves his former Habs. He hired Jacques Lemaire, and he hired Larry Robinson, and now he's gotten Patrick Waugh. It's interesting.
I had a great talk with Lou last week about Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. And Lou loves sports history. He studies it. He devours it. And here's another guy. Here's one of the most historical figures in NHL history as a player. Maybe the greatest playoff performer of our lives. And now he's the coach of Lou's team.
Yeah, just a crazy story that will be very interesting to watch how it all develops. Meanwhile, we spoke last week about which of the many landing spots could be a fit for Corey Perry. And in the end, Steve, it is the Oilers that will get his services as the veteran free agent forward. Will sign a deal for the remainder of the season. Now that we know where he's going, what are your thoughts on his fit with a team that's absolutely on fire right now?
Well, he doesn't have to make them any better. First off, they're just winning and winning and winning. Pat Morris and Corey Perry, Pat Morris, the agent, Corey Perry, did a real good search of where they thought he would fit best and where they thought he would have his best chance maybe of winning. And here's a team that hasn't had, the playoff success that they're expected to have with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and everybody. And maybe this year, although the West is so deep and so tough, maybe this year Corey Perry being on the fourth line of a team where the third and the fourth lines have not been particularly strong, gives them one more body of, and more than even that, a player who knows what it takes to win. And you put one of those guys in a dressing room, you put one of those guys on a bench in the third period of a close game, he can be a difference maker. And I think it's a great move for the Edmonton Oilers and a great move for Corey Perry.
It's interesting because Corey Perry has kind of been that guy in a lot of playoff runs with he went with the Montreal Canadiens for a couple seasons. He's with Tampa Bay Lightning for a couple of their runs. I mean, he is without a question a really great playoff competitor. I thought last summer when he was an unrestricted free agent that if the Senators wanted to make that next step, that he should be a guy that they should look at. Obviously, he sat down with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman regarding whatever happened in Chicago, and as long as his head and his focus are in the right place, then Corey Perry can help that team. And obviously, the Oilers have been down this road before, Steve.
You don't want to make a joke out of whatever happened personally to Corey Perry, but earlier this year when the Edmonton Oilers won 9 games in a row, someone referenced the great Oiler teams with Gretzky and Messier and Curry and Fuhr and everybody, and how they never won 9 games in a row. And the line John Muckler had at the time was they didn't win 9 games in a row because they found a party before they ever got to 9 games, and that ended the winning streak. The good thing about this Edmonton Oilers team, maybe for Corey Perry, is they won't find a party. And I'm not saying that jokingly. That is a pretty serious group. Connor McDavid, if you know him at all, is a pretty serious guy. And I think, Chris Knobloch, a pretty serious coach. And so I think putting him in that situation, he can lead in the way that he's capable of leading, and he can be led in the way he needs, if he needs to be led in another way. And I think that's why the fit works as well.
A lot of maturity.
Yeah, it is a team that is all business right now. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Steve Simmons and Bruce Garrioch, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week on another Off the Post.